Here's a retelling of the story of Miss Riding Hood. Well, this script ain't looking good. It's everything the big bad wolf doesn't want. Ooh. I'm John Rittman with the retro review of Red Riding Hood from 2011, directed by Catherine Hardwicke, who directed 13, Lords of Dogtown, Twilight, and Miss Bala. Yes, the director of the first Twilight movie did this. And boy, was it inspired by Twilight. So much so, it was hacking hunks off of his goddamn carcass as the filming went on. If you have not seen this movie, consider yourself lucky, because despite a couple pretty damn big name actors, this was shit. This was absolute shit. It was aggressively boring. It was badly told. The acting was so fucking phoned in. It was supposed to take place either during the 1300s, 1400s, some alternate universe on the dark side of Neptune, or in another universe. Who the fuck knows? Nobody bothered to attempt any kind of accent other than American. They were like, fuck it, let's just do American. Except for Gary Oldman. Oh yeah, Gary Oldman's in this. And I don't know what fucking accent he was doing, but I know what it wasn't. It wasn't very good. Amanda Seyfried, though, or Seyfried. I'm never actually sure how to pronounce that. Fresh off of Jennifer's Body, finding what's inside Jennifer's body, and off of Mean Girls a few years prior, Amanda's beautiful. She's an alluring actress. She actually is pretty goddamn good, and she plays Valerie, who is supposed to be Red Riding Hood. They said that Billy Burke in it had Lucas. Okay, I tried to do a Rammstein thing. Shiloh Fernandez playing Peter. Gary Oldman, as I said, Max Irons, and Virginia Madsen, who was 50 years old during this. Still would now. Don't fucking care. She's fucking ageless. She looked great in Candyman. And she was almost 30. She was 31 when that came out. So anyway, this was written by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick. That's a fucking mouthful. He wrote Orphan. He's also apparently writing the Orphan prequel. Why they're doing a prequel, I have no idea, even though I liked Orphan. Wrath of the Titans. Conjuring 2 and 3. Okay. Aquaman. And he did some other stuff. But yeah, Wrath of the Titans sticks out like a sore thumb. So yeah, it's a retelling of the classic fairy tale. What big eyes you have. What big ears you have. What big teeth you have. What a big chest you have. Wait, that's just me looking at Virginia Madsen. Sorry again. I have Virginia Madsen on the brain. Not on my lap. More in the pity. Let's talk about this movie. By the way, there's going to be spoilers because it's been out for over 10 years. See, 2011, 2022. That's how math works. It's not Steiner math, but it works just the same. So the opening credits look awfully familiar. Oh, it's just like Twilight sweeping over the goddamn stuff. They aren't in Forks, because Fork you, we're not filming in Washington. The one thing that frustrated me about this movie is it's taking place in one particular village, and then there's a grandmother's house in the woods, and, over the hills, through the woods, the grandmother's house we go. This movie doesn't feel like it takes place in an actual location. It feels like they built a set, and it doesn't feel anything except hollow. Now, granted, I don't expect anything great from a movie that's retelling of Red Riding Hood and trying to tell it in a dark, spoopy way. But it just feels like it's just on a set. It feels like it's taking place in a vacuum. Like you could literally just walk off and, get a coffee or stuff like that. The set doesn't feel alive. The location doesn't feel alive. And it consists of like maybe 10 buildings. Now, granted, it's probably not going to be a big village considering it's in the fucking woods. But look at the grandmother's house. The grandmother has a huge house. A house that's as big as 3 of the goddamn houses put together in this village. So anyway, there is one opening line. Because we get a brief backstory. Valerie says, my mother always told me, don't talk to strangers, go get water, and come straight home. Good life advice. Don't kill the white bunny. Don't kill animals. At least don't kill pets. I mean, we have some people, eat meat, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just, if you have a pet rabbit or a pet, don't abuse it. That's all I gotta say. Beautiful white rabbit, by the way. Reminded me of a huge rabbit that I had, which wasn't white. It was gray and huge. But anyway, we then smash cut to 10 years later, and it turns out that Valerie and Peter love each other. But she's going to be engaged to Henry because Henry earns more money. Because medieval times. And then her sister ends up dying. All this stuff happens pretty goddamn quickly. Her sister ends up dying in some hut area with a bunch of stacks of hay and weird shit on them. The wolf killed him. Goddamn Virginia Madsen is what I wrote down. 50 years old. Jesus Christ. Kill the beast. God damn it, Gaston. What are you doing in this movie? Get the fuck out of here. Billy Burke plays the dad. I'm just going to call him the dad because Césaire is just a weird name. And we find out through backstory and exposition that the sister loved Henry and gave herself to the wolf, figuring that'll solve everything because this town's haunted by a wolf. I wonder who the wolf is. The wolf's the dad. The wolf's the dad, by the way. It's so fucking obvious, even though they try to lead us astray. And there's a weird guy named Claude that uses tarot cards and whatever and doesn't really communicate and just shouts and lets it all out. But, Henry's mother said, well, Henry always has his eye on you because you're the pretty one. Bitch! You bitch! Her sister just died. And then Henry says, you will be happy again, I promise you. Don't worry, I'll save you. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I trust a guy with that haircut to save me. So you're going to see a mob scene. And it's so obscene. Okay, I don't remember the Marilyn Manson lyrics. Julie Christie was the grandmother. Having a blast playing this role. And Valerie is like, oh, I don't want to be married to Henry. I feel like I'm being sold. And arranged marriages are fucking stupid anyway, I just want to say, because I worked with somebody that was part of an arranged marriage. You know how well that worked? She got remarried about 3 years later. Because people are fucking stupid. Not her, the arranged marriage thing. Moving hastily on before I find out that I pissed off a few people that like arranged marriages, all five of you that fucking matter. POV, a wolf with syphilis, because it's breathing hard, rolling around, and it doesn't have any nuts. Because what's green and eats nuts? Syphilis. Daniel Radcliffe told that in an interview. Why that's funny, I don't know. Alright. So, they go out and hunt. They try to hunt the wolf. They hunt on the mountains. People die. Henry's father died. Who would have thought that going out into a goddamn mountainous range in the dead of night would have ended up so goddamn bad? They did. They killed a wolf. They didn't even kill Tom Wolfe. Who the fuck is Tom Wolfe anyway? Why do I know that name? So then Solomon, played by Gary Oldman, arrives, and his accent, as I wrote down, is either Irish, Romanian, Portuguese, or he's from Antarctica. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't really care. He tells the story after his kids leave in one scene. His kids arrive. No, please don't leave us, Father. Please don't. I have to kill the beast. Is it the beast that killed our mother? Possibly. I don't know. These kids the fuck out of here. He says, hey, I killed a wolf. And I cut off its paw. And then I saw it was my wife. So I told them that the beast killed them. Hopefully the kids were far enough away, because he was shouting really goddamn loud where I think they would have heard him even if they were just 2 miles away. So let's barricade the village in and let's get all this stuff going and get all these towers, Rapunzel. And then everybody parties and drinks. Even though they're barricaded by Solomon and his soldiers. And idiots are fighting and dancing. Dancing like only idiots are watching. Dancing like you have no talent at all. So, Peter and Valerie get together in the hayloft. They find a needle in the haystack, and boy, that must have hurt. Going right in that orifice. Ow. And he says, I could eat you up. Aha, they're trying to lead us to believe he's a wolf, except he's not. And then there's weird, dirty xylophone music, because they didn't have saxophones back then. The wolf easily gets through the barricade, communicates with Valerie. You come away with me. It's the dad, by the way. See, it was so obvious it was a dad, and they didn't even try. They didn't try hard enough to lead you away. A man bitten is a man cursed. And that's why people got stabbed and killed. And then a little bit later, it comes back to bite Solomon. Literally, because it's a wolf, and that's what wolves do. Valerie wants to go with Peter. Her grandmother tells her the backstory and everything and says, hey, I'm going to tell you a bit of this, and I'm going to tell you the rest later. Henry calls off the engagement. All this stuff is happening rather quickly, but in the most boring way possible. I'm trying to make it entertaining. I'm not succeeding, but I'm making it more entertaining than this movie was. Claude then gets put in an iron elephant. It's like the Trojan horse thing, but it was like something you could bake weird nature-baked cookies in. Make it the shape of a, I don't know, fucking rhinoceros. You don't want to know where that cream comes from since it comes from the horn, but not that, the lower horn. The lower horn gives Lur, the Omicron Persei 8. Let's just move on. Peter is talking to the father and says, I'm going to help you. Well, what can I do? For a Klondike bar, what can I do to help you? Help you, obviously, rescue my daughter that I'm trying to take away. So they capture Valerie. They put a mask on her. People torture her. They decide to, why not just fucking, make her the bait. The camera whips around to show everybody in these strategic places to get killed. And then a wolf trap, and Henry and Peter try to rescue her. And then Peter gets locked inside the elephant. Because anything other than, because he's just totally irrelevant right here. And then, they were almost ready to escape. And it sounded like a nice escape scene. I sure wish I could have seen it. They just pretty much turned out the lights during this. And the wolf says, you can't evade me. You can't get away from me. And they're by this church. The wolf can't enter holy ground, but the wolf gets his paw on that. But the wolf ends up getting Solomon and biting him. And then Solomon gets killed because the man bit this man cursed. What big eyes, big ears, big teeth, and the grandma's the wolf. No, it's a dad. I've been saying it's a fucking dad. She actually stabs Peter before, thinking that it's him, slashes him, but he's not hurt that badly, despite the fact she slashed him. And it's in the 13s or 1400s. 1400s. That's English. And then the grandmother's dead. Father reveals his whole goddamn plan. It's during the blood moon. And he was going to take her away. Haha. But his father passed down the curse to him. And he was going to pass it down to her. One bite during the blood moon. And you'll be just like me. And then Henry. Henry actually ended up getting stabbed with an arrow. And then killed. Because darn. And then, or maybe, wait, did Henry die? I actually refuse to care at this point. Because I watched this movie yesterday, and it actually just totally blended into my skull. He bit Peter, so Peter's like, oh no, I can't do this. I'm going to go away on a voyage into the West. And then that Annie Lennox song starts playing. And then the movie's still going on, some alternate universe. Because the Lord of the Rings trilogy would never fucking end. I'll wait for you. I thought you'd say that. The village is fine. And then she goes to live in the grandmother's house. And Wolf shows up. And then we fade to black. Fuck. Ow. Little Red Riding Hood. This movie wasn't looking good. And it turned out to be way worse than I would have thought. Fuck. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.